when firing splatters in quick succession, they collide with each other and get deleted and don't reach the enemies or the planet. So we need to filter the collisions. The easiest solution for now would be to check in the collision function if the node is a splatter and return. There's nothing necessarily wrong with this, but Godot has a collision layer system for this. In the project settings you can give layers a name, and only the layers you choose with the collision object will be checked for colliding. Let's create a layer for terrain, one for weaponry, one for enemies, and one for the player. By default, the first layer is always active, but our splatter is not terrain, so let's set the collision mask to 0. We can then set the individual layer by using setCollisionLayer value, but this takes an integer. In our case, layer 2 is for weaponry, but I don't want to have to remember which numbers equal which names, so let's create something that will do that for us. We can read the project settings from code, so let's create a function in global. I'm choosing for global over general because global is instantiated and can read the layer names and save them, and then we can read them from that saved space. So let's create a dictionary where we can save the name and index. To fill the dictionary, we'll create a fill function and loop through all the 32 possible layers. Then we only add the layer if the layer name is not empty. We want this dictionary to be filled as soon as the game starts, so we'll call it from the init function. To get the layer ID, we'll create a function with the name as argument. Let's use the assert function to throw an error if the name ever doesn't exist and causes the condition to be false. It will mean we have made a mistake in our spelling or programming, and after we can just return the value connected to the name in the dictionary. From our splatter, we can then use the weaponry name to get the layer number. To signal which layers we want to be able to hit, we need to set the collision mask. Same as the collision layer property, the collision mask property standard has layer 1 enabled, so let's set it to 0, and then we can use set collision mask value to set the enemies layer. This way it will signal a collision with everything that has enemies selected as its layer. So then we can move to the enemy, set the collision layer to 0, and set the enemy layer active. Now when we remove this check to see if the node we collide with is not a splatter, we still don't delete the other splatters. But when we collide with an enemy, it gets deleted just like intended.